Good morning. Good morning. You guys, it's a new day. It's May. Man, I'm so excited to be here. When you get in, let me know who's with us today. I am Kia Ortiz, and I'm here with my baby girl, Ava. Hey, Cece. We are here, you guys. So excited for today's special. We're in the month of May, and it's all about mothers. Of course, we have Mother's Day, but I am a firm believer that we should be celebrated longer and more often. Okay, and so today is no different than any other time we've come together. It's just a place where mothers come together and mothers to be to encourage and strengthen one another in the journey of motherhood. And so, if this is your first time, I am Kia. I'm a mother of four, and I am just here building a village virtually that other moms can be encouraged and supported. And so, it is no shocker that I wanted to take this time to introduce you to my family, my village, my support system, which is my mom and my grandmother. And so I know some people might know my family, but something you may not know is we have a very unique story. And so get your tea, get your coffee. We're going to talk it out. And if you have any questions or comment, please comment. We're going to respond as the videos go along, as today's video goes along. And so let's get into it.
This is the Henry and Ray Robinson crew. We are a blended, racially ambiguous family who come from a history of strong women, one of which is my mom. What many don't know is the unique story on how our family came to be. You see, my mom and Henry turned Poppy got together as teenagers and had my brother Adam, who my mom gave up for adoption while married to my biological dad. She had me and my brother Quentin, who she later raised as a single mom. Poppy went on to marry and have my sister Rainey and my brothers Nigel and Robbie. So how did Mommy and Poppy get back together and raise us all under the same roof? I'll leave that story for her to tell.
Welcome, mommy.
Baby.
You guys, this is my mother, Urana Kathleen Robinson. And as you could tell by the intro, she has a wonderful, phenomenal story that nobody can get the credit but God. So, Mom, it said in the video about you adopting, giving Adam up for adoption. Can you tell us a little bit about that story? Like, how did that happen?
Well, it ended up, long story short, um, I I married your father, but prior to that, I was in a relationship with Henry Robinson and I got pregnant, but I didn't know I was pregnant. And I know a lot of people are like, how in the world do you not know? Well, we live in West Virginia and allergy season is horrible for me. So I throw all the different things that you would think in pregnancy you would do. That's what I did, but every year. So whereas the throwing up, the nausea, all that stuff, it was the same thing for me every year with allergies. And even my mom had said, "Ooh, your allergies are really bad." And so Henry had went on, or Hank as we call him, aka Poppy. He had went on with his life, and I was now married to someone else. And at the point when I was not having a cycle, all that stuff, I went to the doctors, and they thought I was pregnant with twins. I weighed 120 pounds. So it was crazy. But anyway, went in there and then I was 5 months pregnant. And I was like fully developed baby. Um, and at that moment, I gave Kevin, your father, opportunity if he wanted to, we could divorce because I didn't do it intentionally, but I also wanted to take in consideration his mind and what he was going through. And it was a rough period, honestly, for both of us. His mom at the time, your grandmother, had been diagnosed with cancer. And I tell you, she was my rock. because as soon as we found out, we went back to the house because we were staying there, and we told her. I never believe in hiding stuff because I don't like suspense. So, eventually
Yeah.
in the scene, it's going to show up. So, anyway,
Mhm.
we told her, and she said, I don't care what anybody says. That's my grandson. Um, and that really encouraged me, but I didn't think I was strong enough to do that. And over some time, long story short, I was going to my doctor's office, and the doctor noticed I was going by myself. And so they started talking to me, and I explained to them the situation. And the doctor was talking to one of the ladies at his church, and she started coming to visit me. And she was the person that was in the delivery room when I had Adam. Um, Whew, it was hard, but I did not want that baby to be born in my chaos of everything that happened. And I was told that this child would be adopted, but basically they told me in North Carolina. So I guess they had stuff already set up. I'm not sure. Um, and then I just went on with my life. It was hard. It was mourning. It took a lot of time. Then eventually I had Juju's. And then 13 months later, I had Tony.
Oh, hold on, mommy. My nickname is Juice. I'm also go by Shaba. So if she says Juice, it's me. Okay. I was a juicy baby, and I had a lot of juices.
You know it
So
ain't about you being juicy baby. I let it go. But anywho, yes. So, what other question do you have?
oh, okay. And so then you had me and Quentin. I
Hmm.
think one thing that is mind-boggling is how did you even get back with Poppy? How did you even find Adam? Like,
Okay.
that's crazy.
So, you fast forward maybe like 8 years, and we were in DC visiting mom, and because Kevin had to work, and we were supposed to take you to a birthday party. We weren't able to make it. A month later, your aunt Lisa, or godmommy, she told me that she was at this birthday party, and there was a kid that looked sort of like Quentin. And I'll never forget it. In my heart, I was like, "Oh my goodness, I will know if that's my son. I will know it." And so that same night we went to rehearsal, not at the because we didn't go to the party, so it's a month later. We went to rehearsal, and the Tawanda had pictures of the party, and in the pictures, there was a picture of just this little boy. And I looked at him, his eyes, I said, "That is my son." He did not get adopted to a family in North Carolina. He was adopted in basically our area, and he grew up there. But we never saw him. Part of it was we went to live in Georgia in a while, and then we came back. His adopted father was a minister, and his mom, I guess, just supporting him everything. So you fast forward, I look at this picture, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this. And then a few months after that, Poppy Hank came into town just visiting because his dad lived there, and I was able to get a hold of him and give him the picture and tell him the information that I knew. And so he went to the house where they lived. Their father answered the door. By then, Adam's parents had separated. His
Mhm.
mom had fallen into an addiction. And so she still was living in town. He could still see his mom, but
Mhm.
his parents weren't together. When
Mhm.
Pops went to knock on the door, he told him who he was. This man of God who had reared our child said, God told me that Adam's parents would come back into his life. And he did not mind if we would be a part of his life, just don't go in and out. There was a point in all this, I was still married to Kevin. And then fast forward, because of life, Kevin and I had gotten um, divorced. And throughout the time, I would send little things. I never said anything, but
Mhm.
Hank did talk to him, and then he would, communicate with them. Um, we moved to DC, then we got our apartment in Maryland, and during that time period, Hank um, started going through a divorce, totally different. It didn't have anything to do with me. Mine wasn't with dealing with him. Let me make it plain. His
Yes, there was
wasn't
no
about me.
confusion.
Yeah, because there was a time when I still believed in God. I would go to Bible study. I wasn't too fond of church because people seemed a little bit judgmental, so I just left that alone. But my faith in God and what was instilled in me, girl, I know you don't be doing that mess. Stop it. Yes, you will be tempted. Oh, so fine. But no, so I did not do that. But I did check in with grandpa periodically to make sure that Hank was okay, especially when my father died. Hank
Mhm.
found my number in grandpa's little thin book where if you ever stay there, you write all his messages in there. And he was going in there for something. He found my number. By then, I was divorced and we had moved on living in our apartment. So the number he had was mama's number. So he called there. And of course, we had already moved. And mama called me and said, Hank Robinson called. And I said, Mama, if that man called, you give him my number. So she gave him a number. Then he came to visit, and you and Quentin just hit it instantly with him. Um, he, I don't know what it was. You'd have to tell that story. I can't remember. I just know y'all were just crazy about him. And
Mhm.
um, because of going through my divorce and certain situations, it was very painful for me to ever go back to West Virginia. But Hank slowly brought me back there, and I started to see stuff. Of course, seeing my father-in-law.
Mhm.
And then um, his divorce ended up being final. And then I lived in sin. And then we fast forward past that part. I
She
think
said, "I lived in sin." Fast forward.
and then Hank and I got married. And Adam's um, biological father passed away. And so we went to the funeral and all that stuff. And then we heard that Adam and Aaron were staying by themselves in the apartment.
Mhm.
And so we volunteered. Well, before that, we volunteered to have the boys stay with us for a month in the summer. They did that, then they went back. Then we found out a couple months later they were living by themselves. What had happened was their mom had a legal situation, and so she had to go away for a little while. And so we volunteered to keep the boys with us for a year.
So and just so y'all know, the boys meaning my brother's adopted brother Aaron.
Who
My
yeah, who we
parents
actually hey, Aaron, we also, we're still in contact with him and his kids and all this stuff.
still family.
Yes. So during that time period, they went to school in Virginia Beach. Then Aaron went to stay with his aunt. And then Pops, he ended up, before Aaron left, he ended up going to Germany. And while he was in Germany, he asked me to marry him. And so we were going to do that thing. Whew, that was hard. I couldn't believe it. But anyway, in the course of all that, that meant that once we got married, then we would all be going to Germany.
Mhm.
With Adam, we only had him until his mom finished what the business she needed to take care of.
Mhm.
And then Adam decided he wanted to go to Germany with us. I could not fight that fight for him because his parents who adopted him, they took care of him. And so yes, biologically he was mine, but I believe parents are parents. So the idea if you adopt a child, you are that child's parent. I
Mhm.
can't I just couldn't do that. And so I asked Hank to take Adam to go talk to his mom. If you want to do this, you have to talk to your mom. Mind you, we only had a piece of paper that said we were temporary guardians, kind of that thing. So his mom did not want to do that, but she still had to come to where we lived, Virginia Beach, to transfer back the custody to herself. And the day that we had the court hearing, she didn't show up. And so the judge asked Adam what he wanted to do, and Adam said that he wanted to live with his biological mom. And the judge gave him back. Mind you, no one ever took blood tests. And
Oh, I'm sorry, I just snorted.
so fast forward anyway. So he moved. We all moved to Virginia. I mean, we moved to Germany. And it was not easy because Adam was the baby in their family. Yes, he had lived with us, but he still, he was preteen, doing all that stuff. But I was very determined. Look, no freebies. Your father wasn't in on this decision. It was my decision. But I felt like my job still is to rear him. And sometimes it was rough because he would come up against me. But I don't play that stuff. I used to be a sweet, leave it to Beaver mom. And then I went straight BET, where it's thug mama. When you got a bunch of kids going through puberty, man, you got to hold your ground. Um,
Hold on one second, Mom. Hold on one second. While I gather my emotions, I want to make sure that we greet everyone. Hi, Mom, AK. Hi, Mom Cynthia. Hi, Mama Annette. Hey, Jen. Hey, everybody. Jen says, um, that is absolutely mind blowing. AK says, all roads leading to Abba's divine purpose. AK also said, boys will make you go thug style, full fact. This is true. Oh my goodness. So for just so that way our minds can catch up with this. My mom and Poppy did their thing, had my brother. She ends up getting my brother back. And you guys, some of the story I didn't really hear because I wanted to be authentic to when we came on today. But she got her son back from being adopted. And I think the weight of this is huge for me personally, because you see shows of, parents that have got adopted. You'll see people on Facebook, hey, help me find my biological mom or my family. And here's a situation where you're just going about your regular life. People come across somebody that looks like your potential son. You find your son. His adopted parents are no longer able to take care of him. And you guys are able to get him back with no fuss, not even from the court system. And so the thing that reminds me of this is just God's abounding love. You know what I mean? And not only did he tell the adopted father, hey, the parents are going to get back in it, but it was well with his soul. It was well with my brother's soul, and well with y'all's, to be able to take us all up. Yeah, you guys, we were like the Black Brady Bunch. They took us all up, shipped us to Germany, and all six of us were raised together. And it wasn't, when we were raised, it wasn't like, oh, this is your adopted brother, treat him any different. He was actually the oldest of us, which was interesting because, I'm the oldest of my brother. And then you got, Robbie, who's the oldest of his crew, and we're all coming together. So it's a lot of button heads. But fast forward, we're all like, this is my family. And so it's kind of like, yeah, you had to take a pause and a break for a little bit, but God brought it all full circle. And that's that whole trusting in him and relying on him. And if you need a witness to that, here is my mom. Like, how did that, real quick, how did that feel giving him up, like that day that you gave birth?
It was very hard. And I remember the nurses, they wanted me to see him because they didn't know my story or what was going on. And I remember holding him and looking in his face and trying to tell this brand new baby his story and how I want the best for you. I don't want you to walk in my mess. I wanted him to be that baby that who he is as he grows. He has his own story. That was so, so, so important to me. The same thing with Kevin. I wanted him, if you can't do this, if this is, just walk away. Have your story. This is mine. This is what I did. And it weighed heavy on me. It weighed so heavy that I had really depressing thoughts and did something I should never have done, which is why I'm a huge advocate for people who end up pregnant and they're afraid to tell their parents, or look, I'll go with
Mhm.
you, total strangers, I'll go with you, sit down with your parents. You can't do it by yourself. What did happen, I had a great support system, people who had stories in the past that kind of reminded me, look, you're human. And having God there, I think I'm so grateful he's not contained by walls. So
Yeah.
wherever I was, however way I was feeling, he was there and he loved me still. So for I've had friends that had abortions. Um, that wasn't the choice I made, but I don't want them to be alone because sometimes we make decisions and then it hits us the weight of it. And then
Mhm.
if you have the world telling you you're a horrible person, that's the weight. My faith in God says that we are to love people, and sometimes we don't know how to do it. But I know this much. He sent people that didn't understand what I was doing and they still supported me. So that's what I do. It's in my faith. Um, then going on, I don't know how much time we have, but then going on and blending our family in Germany, that that was hard.
Yeah.
6 kids. Um, uh, Nigel was the baby, and I think he was the one that didn't want another mom. He was so young, but he also was the one that opened up my heart. Before, I was just trying to just take care of kids.
Mhm.
I was afraid to open my heart because when you have a blended family, the other parent could possibly take the kids. And then I'm going to be broken again, but based off of different circumstances. But Nigel opened up my heart because he was with me every day. And he got to the point where he looked at me as a mom and we would do stuff together. And slowly my heart just began to open up, going to counseling, family counseling and just individual counseling. It helped. I always was a worker bee. So then I got to stay at home. I kept saying, please put it on a computer. I can do this if you put it on a computer. Put the stove, the kids, all that stuff. I got that. Spring
On the
cleaning.
spreadsheet.
Yes, yes. Um, but then Pops got us involved in stuff. We started doing Volksmarches, going to visit. We had German friends and other kids, you guys. We lived in a village where they loved our kids, and you guys got to grow up with the pigs and the horses, all that stuff. And it slowly became our family.
Yeah.
But it was hard sometimes because other people didn't see it that way,
Yeah.
and so I'm still like a mama lion when it comes to when people say, "Well, which one are your kids and which one are Hank's kids?" And I'm like, "They're all our kids." We don't do that because, yes, I can understand the love. Like people say, "Well, you birthed this when you love," but what happens is the more you open up your heart and the more you see your kids getting together, even when people are fighting or even when people get mad, don't want to talk to you, that love that's in your heart, it isn't foundational to flesh. We still got to remember, like, God's been working on me and doing this stuff. And how dare I not extend love that God gave me? I believe that what he pours into us flows out of us. And if we don't, then we're going to be stagnant. And we all know about stagnant water, okay? Nobody wants stagnant water.
Honky.
So I had to, and sometimes I had to do it through tears, but I'm on the other side now, and I would shed those tears again. I have some amazing kids. And I remember when Jen came here,
That's my girl Jen.
Angie came and stayed when I had surgery, and they interacted with our family, and she said, like, what a wonderful family we have. It just touched my heart because I want what's in my heart to come out. That
Mhm.
all being said, we all have other kids that along the way we've kind of pulled in Jen, Angie, um, Justine. I mean, because once God flows that love through, I mean, I thank God for the co-parents. Let me do a shout out. Miss Cynthia, AK, AT, Miss Tanya. Um, oh, it was somebody else that we were talking about, and I think of them as a co-parent. I Stephanie, Nigel and Rainey and Robbie's mom, you know,
Mhm.
co-parent. Oh man, who else was it? But there's a lot of people out there. I didn't do this all by myself. My husband didn't do it all by ourselves. Grandpa, Miss Shirley. I mean, it's a lot of when you get that village going, it's a lot of help there, whether it's just they're encouraging by words or, bringing food. Our Groit family helping me to feed all them
Yeah, Germany.
my mama, who's
Yeah, matter of fact, let's bring grandma in. You guys, this is my grandmother, my rock, my heart, my love. She is so beautiful, wonderful. She is what a musician, out this world. She is a supreme soprano. Um, she is a community advocate. She's always helping the homeless, doing whatever she can to put smiles on people's faces. And you guys, she is amazing. This is my grandma.
hey
Hi,
mama.
baby. How are you doing? Ray, you're
Good.
making me cry.
All right.
Don't cry, grandma. You still gotta be a G. Plus, you out in the. My grandma has some severe allergies, like my mom mentioned, and so she gonna be over here crying, have swollen eyes, and people gonna want to take you to the hospital thinking you're having a
Mhm.
reaction.
Too late. My neighbor's standing over there looking at me.
Oh
He,
my
he
goodness.
sees I'm on the phone, so he won't come near until I get off the phone. But I have 17% left.
Okay, so you guys, my grandma is dealing with her phone and everything, but she has blessed us by being here. And mom, while we're talking about community coming together and to help, one thing I wanted to highlight about my grandma was when I got pregnant with twins, I got very overwhelmed because it's my first pregnancy. Didn't even think I would get pregnant.
Oh,
Really,
go on, girl.
and so I got overwhelmed and I was still a working mom. And so my grandmother gave up a year of her life to come and help me with my twins. You guys, I didn't intend for this episode to be emotional, but
Yes.
for those moms that are overwhelmed, you can imagine how I felt when my grandma said, "Oh, okay, I'll just come up there and stay with you guys for a year." She left Georgia, her family that she adopted and grew down in Georgia, to come with me. And so I guess my question to you, grandma, is what made you do that? Like most people would be like, don't send your grandkids down this way. I ain't trying to raise no kids, or whatever the case may be. You gave it all up to come and be with us. What? Why?
It's the heritage of my family. My grandmother spent a lot of time with us because my mother was sickly, and she spent a lot of time with my children when I was sick. Both my grandmothers were with us when we were growing up, but only one was still living when your mom was born, and she was at the house when I got home from the hospital, and she took that baby from my arms, and I had to fight her to let me take care of my own baby. If
Mhm.
she had not been a breast baby, I don't know when I would have gotten her back.
Mama was a breast baby.
Cut, erase.
No erasure. It explains why we're all so close.
Except for I wasn't a breast baby.
Amen. That's right. That's right. You don't have to breastfeed. A little shout out for those that don't
I
want
hate
to.
to define that there are four different kinds of breast babies. One that gets fed by the breast,
Uh-huh.
one that gets loved by the breast, one that gets held so close they can't breathe, so close to the breast they can't breathe. Those are the ones that mamas never let go of, and the wives divorce them because they're too close to the mama. And
Well,
then the fourth kind is the kind that's in the breast of the neighborhood of the other family members. Now, the first and the
good.
latter are the ones that are blessed, because the
Amen.
latter has the whole family, the whole neighborhood, the whole church going people to help them.
Yeah.
I love it. That's a good way of putting it. So either fed by the breast, comforted by the breast, smothered by the breast, or in the breast of the community.
Right.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to go ahead and pause this real quick, you guys, because it's so much that goes on with our family to be our family. And so I wanted to make sure I honor everybody's time. We're going to stop this recording here, but we're going to do a hangout session with my mom and my grandmother. So if you would love to hear more about the dynamic of our family, we're going to continue this conversation. But what I want to leave with you today with today's conversation is your family is your family. The
Amen.
one thing I love about my mother and my grandmother is they made their family their own. Nobody else's opinion could weigh more heavily on theirs. And when it did, we see what happened with my mom giving my son up, her son up for adoption. But then she took ownership after that, and she made something beautiful out of it. So no matter how your life, how your kids came about, how no matter how your life looks, if we take ownership and responsibility and get what we need to get, what our kids need to get, and get the healing we need, we can make something so beautiful.
Yes.
So I don't care how your kids came about, and I don't care how your future kids come about. You are their mother, and you are the one that is going to dictate how your family is going to be. I thank God for the men in our family who have kept us and made us strong,
Mhm.
but it's the moms that nurture. And so I am who I am today. Ava is who she is today. And we are four generations on camera right now because of these women. So make it your own. It is yours, and God has blessed you with it for you to do what He called you to do. I don't believe we're all born to be moms. I believe motherhood is a part of our overall journey. But He has blessed you to do something wonderful with your hands and with your womb. So, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. I know Mother's Day is coming up this weekend. So
Mhm.
make sure you love up on your mothers, not just because of the day, but because they deserve it. And they actually deserve it year round. So I love you guys. Have a wonderful day. And we'll read the comments some more here soon. And if you want to stay tuned in with us, check back with the Mommy Monday page as we start a new recording. Have a great day. Bye.